Hi everyone, I hope you're all okay, and I thought we could do a little chatty update today if you fancy it. So get yourself a brew. I've got one. I need to actually remember to drink it while I'm doing this though and not let it go cold. But yeah, if you want to watch, then keep watching. So hi everyone, in true Charlotte fashion, my washing machine's been really loud. Can you hear it? I don't know why I can't seem to time these things better, but we've got a window. I've tried to get everything nice and quiet apart from that for you, so let's get cracking. First things first, I hope you had a lovely Easter like holidays or Easter like time with your family. Obviously my kids have been off for 2 weeks, and yeah, we had a good time. We've had a really good time actually. It was nice to spend some time with them. They're growing up so fast, it's crazy. It's so crazy because Daisy's birthday is on Friday. She's going to be 7, which I don't know. We were looking back. My phone does this thing now. I don't know if it's like a new Apple thing, but it does like memories, like makes videos for me, and it made one last night, and I always send them on to Mark because I know he'll appreciate them too. But it was called Spring, but they were all photos from, you know, around about this time 7 years ago, when she was born, and it was just like bonkers looking at it because she's changed so much, but we've changed so much. Like we really have aged. I shouldn't sound shocked. But sometimes, isn't it weird when you just stop for a second and you look back at something and you think, bloody hell, like, I'm starting to show signs of looking different to that now, which I know sounds like obvious, but you don't always notice it day to day. And it's like filling in my birthday now and, you know, scrolling to get to 88, and it's a painful process. It's a really painful process. But here we are. I am the grand old age of 35, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's not. Not so much being 35, but just, you know, life has its ups and downs. So yeah, Daisy is going to be 7 soon. We had a lovely Easter break. We saw family, stuff like that. And we have a new family addition. In fact, we have 3. So if you follow me on Instagram, then you'll probably have already seen, but we are now the proud owners, multifaceted family of 3 little rats, and we're besotted with them. So the backstory is, because I'm sure people are going to be like, what the hell, rats? But so first things first, when I grew up in a household with lots of pets. So we had like, I think at one point we had 2 dogs, 2 cats, 2 rats. We've had fish, we've had hamsters, all sorts. At one point we even had 3 dogs actually. And so it's always been a big part of my life. I love animals. So my rats, when I had them when I was younger, were called Thelma and Louise and Roxy. And yeah, they were really, really special to me. I absolutely loved them. My cousins had boy rats as well. I think they were called Homer and Bart, and then they went on to have Wallace and Gromit. So that was cute. They were lovely as well. But the boys have like massive balls, and they're a lot bigger than the girls. So we went with girls, A, because we don't have as many girls in our house anyway. And B, because it wasn't just a random, like, I guess to you, you're going to be like, where the hell have you got, where's this come from? But basically, it started with Stan's birthday because Stan likes Horrid Henry, and Horrid Henry has a hamster called, is it Fang or something like that, or Spike, I don't know what his name is. So he got it in his head that he'd really like hamster. Now, we've had hamsters before, and my only issue with them really as a parent is that obviously they don't live for the longest time. They can be a little bit nippy, and it just, getting one hamster for Stan then opened up this idea of like, what if the other kids would then want like a hamster as well, and then that'd be like 3 separate cages. And so we kind of put it to bed, and Stan goes through phases anyway of having like fixations on things, and then the next minute he just like drops it like, I'm a bit like that sometimes. So it then came up to the approach of Daisy's birthday. And I talked to my kids, you know, when you're chatting to kids, and Daisy's quite, you know, like I feel like girls are quite like this, but she will ask me a million questions all the time about my past, my life, my this, my that. What was my thoughts on this when I was little? What was I into when I was little? We're talking about pets and stuff. And she was asking about what it was like to have like rats, and I was telling her about them and my other pets and my dogs and you know, the animals I grew up with. Sorry, I just needed a quick hay fever break, and I'm gonna have a sip of coffee. But yeah, coincidentally, over Easter, I'd been doing some gardening with the kids. The kids love getting out in the garden, like helping to make things grow and plant things. So we've been doing that one day. The next day, my back just went, as in like I couldn't, it was so sore. Bill obviously is coming up to 11 now, so he worked really quickly. He was like, I think we should all just sit down, like you rest on the sofa and we'll watch a movie. So we put on a movie, and we decided to put on one that we've not seen as a family called Ratatouille, which I'm sure you'll all know if you've like Disney movies or you've got Disney Plus and stuff. So we're watching it. I've not seen it since I was younger, so it was really nice to rewatch it because I'd kind of forgotten the whole premise. And we all were like, oh my gosh, that's so cute, we love rats. And like the kids were obsessed with rats after this for the following like week and a half. And Daisy's birthday, we were asking like, what do you want for your birthday, what do you want? It came up that she was like, I just want rats, I just want rats, I just really want a pet rat, I want a pet rat so bad, please can I have a pet rat. Mark is not quite as enamored with pets as perhaps I am. Like he does love them, but obviously like for him, he didn't have as many growing up, so it's a newer situation for him. And he was like, no, we're not getting them. We said no to the hamster, we said no to the rats, and Daisy was like, well, like please, please, please. And I said, you've got to listen to your dad, you know, like he still loves you, but we can't just get what we want all the time, this, that and the other. But that night, excuse my washing machine, it's finished now. That night she went into her room and she'd counted the amount of days until her birthday, and for every day she'd written a note to her dad, basically begging and pleading, giving reasons of why like she'd be responsible and she'd look after them really well, or it really well, this, that and the other. And every day she would put a new note on his desk or give it to him, and he'd be like, no, no, no. But then I asked him on Thursday last week, what are we thinking about Daisy's birthday, like presents wise, because I'm going to order a few bits. And he was like, well, you know, I don't really know what to do. And she'd done a list with like other things, but she's quite basic in a lot of ways, because she just kind of asked for like books and stuff and like crafting things and like a bit of Lego. She doesn't really play with toys as much as she used to, because obviously she's grown up and she's an avid reader. And Matt was like, but I just feel like we'll get those things, but I feel like I'm gonna ruin a birthday. And I was like, well, Stan was fine. And he was like, yeah, but Stan had loads of things that like was on his birthday list and Daisy hasn't, I don't really know what to do. And I was like, well, you know, I back your like opinion 100%, like it's fine, she'll be fine, we can look at other things. And he was like, no, I feel like we're gonna have to get a bloody rat, aren't we? And I was like, yeah, but this is the thing, babe, you can't just get one rat because they're very, very social creatures, we'd have to get two. And then the issue is that if we got two, we've got 3 kids, and it'd be really problematic. So we're probably looking at getting 3 if we're going to make it fair. And he was like, well, that solves the problem of Stan being upset, because then he'd have one, and then obviously Bill would have one. And he said, yeah, but it's going to be really expensive, isn't it? And I was like, it probably will be, but let me do some research and like see if I can find like a cage I can hang, because she needs a decent sized cage. And so I was looking on Facebook Marketplace and I found this cage right out of the blue. It's the cage that I was looking at on Pets at Home that was like worth £100. And it had been relisted for £45 because of a time waster. So I contacted this lady who ended up being the most amazing person. And we were chatting away and I was saying, I really want to get a cage, like, you know, to get ready, because we're looking to get my daughter some rats, and her birthday's next Friday. I wasn't expecting any time soon for it to happen, because we were thinking it might have to be a bit after her birthday, we've got to do this properly. And she was like, well, I've got 7 rats. We originally had 4 and we've just got 3 more from a breeder that I can recommend to you. And I know that she actually has lots, because we've only just got our next 3 this Monday. And I was like, you kidding me? And that was another thing, like, with rodents and things like that, sometimes they're not always bred or kept in the best way. So I did want to look into going somewhere that I knew that they had been bred responsibly, to avoid like things like health issues or like and things like that. And so she suggested this lady. So I messaged the lady just to sort of get an idea, and I'm still thinking I won't be able to come, like it won't be this week, but maybe we could do it like maybe by a birthday or at least a birthday weekend kind of thing. Lady gets back and she's got loads of, she was like, what are you interested in, like boys or girls? Or because obviously you generally have to keep them single sex because of breeding issues. It's not like you can quite give them the snip like you could like a dog or a cat or something. And I mentioned girls. She sent a few photos over of the ones she had, and she was like, obviously you can choose now, but if you see any that you like while you're there and like you have a preference or a bond with a certain one, then you can obviously change your mind. And she was like, right, so in terms of availability, if you're around tomorrow, you can come, or otherwise Sunday, but I'm not free on Saturday. And we couldn't do Sunday. And just as it happened, Mark had like booked that Friday off. And so I messaged him and I was like, do you want to go tomorrow? And we could. So I went that night to go and pick up the cage and clean that and sort it all out. But the lady that I brought it off invited me in. Her two older girls showed me their rats and like gave me some tips and advice, because obviously it's been a while since I've had them. They were so lovely, and I'm pretty sure we're going to keep in touch because obviously our rats are related. And yeah, we went and picked them up. This lady was so knowledgeable. She rescued like turtles. What else? She had bearded dragons, she had different types of snakes, she had spiders, she had mice, she had cockroaches, she had so many, like some were her own personal pets, some were like, because she breeds them, some were like for breeding, that kind of thing. And then she also had 3 dogs, and it was the most amazing experience, like to be able to go through all that. And it honestly it just all went click, click, click into place really easily. And then so we were able to surprise the kids. They all chose a rat each, obviously, and we came home with little Wednesday, Remy and Matilda. So obviously if you don't like rats, like skip ahead or like turn off the video or anything like that. But so Matilda is Daisy's rat. She is a champagne Dumbo rat. Then we have Remy is Stan's rat, and she is an agouti, which is the name for a, like, you know, that classical colour of rat, like a browny grey shade. But obviously these are fancy rats, so they're not the same breed as what you would find like out on the town doing their cool rat things. And then we also have Wednesday, who's Bill's rat, and she is what is known as a roan, or some people call it a husky. And she's like a beautiful kind of like white and then a grey black shade. And they are just adorable. They're probably coming up to 7 weeks old now, which is, they were able to be like rehomed from 6 weeks. So they're just gorgeous, and the kids are so happy, and I'm actually really proud of how confident they are with like handling them, and how excited they are, and how responsible they're being, like with cleaning up and you know, socializing them, because it's always great as soon as you've got them, like give them a bit of time to settle in, but equally like make sure you're handling them a lot and things like that. And it's been a really, really lovely experience to see them so happy. And you know, I think it's probably obvious that the animals in our house are very, very loved, and yeah, we're really happy. It's like they live in Daisy's bedroom because she's got the most space. The boys are fine with that, and she's not like mean about like not letting them in and stuff. And I'm quite happy to like help them, take care of them and stuff. So that's like the first big update. And then like other stuff. Obviously one of the videos that I made fairly recently, it was quite popular, was one where I was discussing this weird period of my life right now where I'm readjusting as my children have entered into that very next stage. And it's funny actually, because I logged, like when I was scrolling through social media, it's kind of everywhere at the moment, but a lot of children have found out their places for reception. for September, and I remember that feeling well, and that feeling of grief, like impending grief, at the end of an era, especially with your youngest. It's just very like, and to be honest, I still feel it now. The time I've had with them has been really, really special, but I also understand now that, like, you know, that's just the way it is, and it's healthy and it's normal, and it's just that adjustment. But I'm still kind of going through that. I do feel a lot better than perhaps I did at the beginning of this year, post-Christmas, and also like September to December. I feel like my head was just all over the place with it, because especially you have a staggered start, or at least we do. So some days Stan would be back with me again, and then some days he wouldn't, and it would get more and more and more. And in a way, it felt like that was almost more painful for me, because I'd get little like tastes and last chances of what I was like saying goodbye to. But what I'm just working on now is just, you know, it's a word that everybody talks about, but balance. Like, I feel like when your children are smaller, it's so difficult to have balance in your life. At least I felt like it was like that for me. So as an example, when the kids are younger, maybe if you like watch my vlogs back then, you'll know that, like, you know, Mark has like a season ticket for Preston, so he supports Preston, that's where he's from. So it's always been his thing to like go and watch the matches when they're at home, especially because he's moved here to be with me, and that's his connection to still regularly see his like friends and things like that. And so it's always something that he's been comfortable, able, and like enjoy doing from the get-go since like before we met. But I really struggled when the kids have been younger to sort of break away from that. The kids had a lot of like attachment to me, so if I did go away, I would always feel bad, always feel guilty. So I've never really gone out and done things. And I'm not saying, like, with Mark, I do. On occasion we'll go on date nights, or he'll take me away somewhere. And my mum and dad obviously will step in because the kids are happy and comfortable to stay with them and stuff. But with friends, not really at all, never. Like, even if I go on nights out sometimes and like meet up for drinks with friends, the kids would be like, where are you going, when will you be back? And I'd always feel bad, and I beat myself up, but in the end it was just never healthy. And also, like, the ability to make and, you know, carve out these relationships with friends was really difficult. And that kind of started with Bill, because when he was born, obviously not a lot of people that I was friends with at the time were also having children, because I was 23 obviously when I found out, and that I was pregnant. And so that was lonely in one respect, but equally because of when I went back to work when he was so young, like just under 2 months old, I never ever went to a baby group, so I'd never done any of that. I'd never met a fellow mum out in the wild ever. Like, you'd see them in supermarkets, but I didn't have the courage to say hello. And then obviously I think really the only time in my life where I truly started making friends was when Bill started school. And I did have friends from, like, you know, individual friends from personal, like, you know, past relationships or different situations, and like a lot of us have come together in that way, which is lovely. But I just really struggled for ages to have anyone that I felt like I could relate to and bond with that way. And it's not like, and if you're struggling too, like, it's not you. There's nothing wrong with you. There was nothing wrong with me. I think it's just the situation sometimes is so difficult. And if you meet someone that you gel with day to day as friends, that's one thing. But when you add parenting into that, that's another thing entirely, because you've got your friend's schedule and your schedule, but then you've got their partner's schedules, but then you've got their kids' schedules and your kids' schedules. Then there's also things like child ages. So you might have met someone that you get on really well with, but she's got, like, say you've both got kids that are 4 years old, but then you've got a kid that's 7, and then she's got a baby. So then sometimes coming together, it can be really difficult to piece those things together to make it work, because the older one might be bored or the baby can't join in, and that's another thing that comes into play. And then again, parenting styles, I'm never going to judge you. It's just not the way I play. It is not my business to tell you how to comfortably, authentically live your life and how to parent. And I think that was a lesson that I learned very early on in parenting. Like, there were so many things that I wanted to do that I could not. So who am I to have an opinion on someone like breast or bottle feeding? I mean, in the end, I've breastfed, I've bottle fed, I've tube fed, and I've expressed, and like, so I don't even fit in a category. But it's one of those where, like, what if you discipline in a different way, or you have different opinions on things? And like, while I feel like relatively quite comfortable and open getting to know people regardless, like for some people they can be deal breakers. Making friends as a mum is a lot harder than I think people give it credit for. And now I'm at a stage in my life where I'm so lucky that I have these friendships in different places, in different parts of my life, that have all had different, like, that have gifted me in different ways in my life. But I'm finally starting to do things for myself, and I'm finally, with the help of, like, you know, therapy and taking my antidepressants and stuff, I'm finally starting to have the confidence to do things again, because that was another factor with me. I think that I had so many blows to my self-worth, my confidence, it all just kind of went very downhill for me. Like, I just struggled. I was like a mouse, and I still am quite shy in certain situations, but I always thought if I didn't bother, then I wouldn't have to worry about it. Like, it was just easier just to not go to things or not try, because I was too scared of the outcome. But then actually the disappointment of not doing things was worse. And I think some of that came from having like a poorly baby and stuff. I remember doing a few things. Once Daisy was home and a bit more portable with like her tubes and her oxygen and all of that, like her suction and this, that and the other. Like, I remember doing things but always feeling like the odd one out because my baby appeared different and it was too hard. Like, I wanted to be cool and relaxed about it, but also at the same time, like, it was quite obvious that my experience was different to somebody else's, or most at the time. So that was another thing. But now I'm doing things. Like, one of the biggest gifts that I've had recently is that I've always had like Suzanne and Kaylee and Misha and Vic and Bex. Like, my friends know who they are and I love them to bits. But one thing that I've had that I've never had before is through like making friends with Daisy's friends' parents, because now there's a group of 8 of us, like partners, and we all do stuff together and the kids fit really nicely together. And, you know, so when it was one of our friends' birthdays the other day, and we went out for his meal. We had a huge table full of parents and kids eating pizza, and we were like cutting up pizza for each other's kids and helping out and passing the water down and this, that and the other. And it was an amazing experience. And I went away with them, the girls, into Wales last year, like to Wales, not into, you know what I mean. We went away for a long weekend and it's just done wonders. Like, I went to a spa trip with Suzanne and 2 of her friends who I've like briefly met before, but like friends from other parts of her life. And they were doing a spa trip and there was an offer on where it was like kind of buy one person come and the other person comes 3, but there were 3 of them. And Suzanne was like, can I ask Charlotte? And they were like, yeah, definitely. So we all got like a discounted rate for going because we just split it in half, do you know what I mean? I wouldn't have said yes to that a year ago because I think I would have been too nervous. I would have been too like focused on what was going on in here and like too worried about what people thought and like whether or not I'd fit in, that I just would make excuses and not go. But I went and I had the best time and it was just the most incredible feeling in the world. And really empowering, because by the end of it, well, not even by the end of it, like a few hours in, I was belly laughing with women that like were just funny and like-minded and who were like encouraging me to relax and like, oh, you deserve this. Everybody deserves to relax and look after themselves. And that was an amazing moment for me, because it's just not something that I'd done for myself before, and I'm loving it. And like on that path, obviously this year is a really exciting year because my brother and his fiancée Nikki, who he's obviously been with her for a while, they're getting married in June, and I'm one of the bridesmaids, so that's been really exciting. We've been like doing hen stuff and sorting all that out, and I've been helping with because I have a Cricut machine from a previous collaboration. Obviously it's not an ad, like I've just kept it because I love it, but it's enabled me to help out with making like things for the actual wedding, so like place cards and table settings, that kind of thing. So it's been really nice to be able to do that. We worked out how to get it to work in the way that we wanted to at the weekend, so that was amazing, because I just felt like incredible, because it will save them lots of money. And I'm so excited for them. I'm so excited because I've got a brother, so obviously she's marrying him, but it's really nice to have like a female like companion in our family, and it's always been like that. Her getting married to him doesn't change that, because she's always been someone that I've valued. But it's so exciting. And yeah, as part of that, we've got hen do. There's going to be two. There's an away one and there's a home one. I'm going to both, and the away one is in Mallorca, and I'm going like just under 2 weeks for like 3 nights with all these people that don't really know. Which again, I don't think I would have done that. I would, out of like, you know, for Nikki, but I think I would have found it a lot harder. And don't get me wrong, I'm still nervous, because really, I know Nikki and I've been getting to know the other bridesmaids, but still, like, it's not, you know, like, they're all friends kind of thing, so more so than me. But I'm really excited. We've been planning everything. We're hoping Nikki's gonna have a wonderful time. And that is just something that I never in a million years thought I would ever do. Like this place that we're going to, it doesn't have Thompson the dog. There's no kids clubs. It's gonna be so weird. I think we booked in to do yoga at one morning, and then there's like these beautiful rooms, and I'm gonna go on a plane and be sat next to one of my fellow bridesmaids. I'm gonna chat and we're gonna relax, and we're doing like hen thing. Oh my god, I'm so excited. But again, it's just that time in my life that I can go, yeah, you know what, I'm bloody ready. I'm gonna do this. I'm not like holding back anymore, like, and it's okay. Like, my kids are gonna be okay. Like, shocker. They've got their dad. They're gonna have a nice time, and you know, like Mark said, like, it's your turn to do stuff. Like, you've always had them for me when I've done, like, he's been on stag do's and stuff. I need to just start being kinder to myself and being like, you deserve it too. You really do. And you do. You there watching this, have you got a coffee or a tea? What are you drinking? Are you watching at night? If you got a glass of wine, I don't know, tell me what you're drinking. I'm having a coffee. I have 2 pods in here because I felt like a strong one, but it is going cold. So yeah, that's where we're up to with that. I did say I would talk a bit more about that, like, next chapter of motherhood. And another thing that's part of that is health, overall, general, physical, mental, spiritual, emotional health. So mentally, obviously, I spoke at the start of this year when it got to my antidepressant anniversary, which may seem to some like a silly thing to celebrate, but for me it was just a huge milestone. It really, really was, to compare how I was then to how I am now. So for the most part, I am doing quite well with that. I still have bad days. I still do find that it fluctuates with my time of the month. I do find that harder, but with what I'm on now, contraceptive wise, I'm on the coil, and one thing that is good with that is no babies, no having to take pills and like worry about being like spot on with everything, because obviously we're done having children. But the other thing with that is that I am less aware of when a period is coming, so I'm trying to use apps now, because you don't get one every month. Sometimes I'll just get spotting, or sometimes it'll be like, I had a period just this last week, and honestly the run up, I was so low, and it really, really kind of took me by surprise a little bit. Like, I didn't feel like I was mentally prepared for it. So while the Marina coil is working effectively in terms of preventing pregnancy, sometimes I feel like, was I happier when I was on the pill, the Yesella one that I was on. I don't know. But equally, as I've said before, I don't really want to keep putting stuff through my body all the time. Like, I'm already taking a tablet to make my brain work better, and I don't want to have to keep taking tablets. I find that really, like, sometimes when I think about it, it can make me feel quite sad that I can't just get out of bed and work properly. So it is hard, but yeah, my citalopram works really well for me, although I am getting to a point where I do think about, you know, what's down the line in terms of like how long will I stay on it, and like, do you feel strong enough to maybe reduce my dose? I'm on 20 milligrams, which I think the maximum most people are given is 40, so I started on 20. A lot of people like start on 10, so I'm like in the middle. Maybe I could reduce to 10, see how that goes, but I don't know. I have noticed some side effects. I definitely noticed like a bit of weight gain, not like ridiculous amounts, but I do find that it has affected that. And I do a lot of jaw clenching. And not so much teeth grinding, I'm not going like, but it's like I'm always like my teeth will clench all the time. And I notice I'll do it when like I feel heightened or a bit more anxious or stressed. So that's not a very nice one. That is definitely something that has come on as a result of this, because it's not something that I've really ever done before. And the other thing that really bugs me sometimes with that is I sweat more when it's hot. My hands, and I'll get like flushed on my face when it's hot, which is new to me again, because I've always acclimatized quite well. But again, I'm being open about these things because I think it's good to have a healthy discussion about it, but equally, those side effects are still nothing compared to how I used to feel. So while nobody wants a side effect, I would rather feel this way than the way I did. But I also understand that wouldn't it be nice to find a middle ground where maybe I'm strong enough to do it alone, but I don't know. It's still, a year is not the longest time in the world, and I'm doing okay. Yeah, I'm doing okay. And then physically, where do I start? So I started exercising more frequently again. As part of my mental health, I noticed that I was chasing highs a lot, not in the drug sense, because I've never tried anything in my life, not even had a cigarette, but more like I'd be looking for that kind of like dopamine rush of like, you know how like when I did Couch to 5K and I'll always be keeping busy, I'll always be doing something, because productivity and this, that and the other and achieving things would keep me going. And I realised that with fitness, like, because I did Apple Watch fitness, I still do some Apple Watch workouts, but I was doing an Apple Watch workout every single day. Like, every single day. It was during lockdown. That wasn't applicable to real life in the end when the kids went back to school. But I you know what? I'm not slating myself, because these acts that I did, I was incredibly proud of myself. I completed Couch to 5K. I did workouts every day. Like, it was amazing for my health, but it wasn't maintainable. And I was just always like chasing the next thing that I could achieve and like complete, and then I'd get bored of it and move on to something else. Sorry, I had a random call. But yeah, what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to exercise with intent, because it makes me feel good about myself. I'm trying to do it routinely. I'm trying to be open and honest with myself on the days where I can't. Say like when my back went the other week, I couldn't do it for a few days because it would have been absolutely stupid of me. But what I've really enjoyed getting into, and this is a huge achievement for me personally, is swimming. So after having children, pools became my biggest nightmare. I didn't want to be in them ever. I don't want to be half naked around a load of strangers, and I was convinced everyone was looking at my body and pointing out all the flaws that it's got, and I would just avoid pools. I wouldn't go swimming. I remember having to do swimming with Stan when he started up swimming lessons after lockdown, and because of the restrictions still in place, I had to get into the pool with him. And all the other mums, or there was a granddad that would get in, so I'm just reliving it because it's making me embarrassed, but they'd all just walk in, and I don't even remember what their bodies looked like. Couldn't even tell you what the swimming costumes looked like, but they just got in and got on with it. I walked in with a towel, left it on the side, and like got in as quickly as I could. Everybody else left their towels in the changing rooms. I brought mine with me because I was so ashamed, and it was just really messed up because my body's a body, and it was a real shame, and I just couldn't do it. I loved swimming. When I was at high school, I remember like doing like the relays and stuff, and like with other schools, and we'd do like the races, and I loved it. And I stopped because I was worried about what people thought, and it was so stupid. But when I went to the spa with Suzanne and her friends, we got in the pool. Obviously, most of the time you're in a bikini, so you get, or a swimming costume, so you get used to it very quickly. And there was a pool, and I just started swimming. And before I knew it, I'd done like half an hour of swimming, and I absolutely loved how it made me feel. And Suzanne was like, look at you go, and she was like, you look like you really enjoyed that. And I was like, honestly, I felt amazing. And I was like, I've not done that in so long, Suzanne. I've not swum like that in so long. And like, obviously I've been places with a pool, but I've never swum for me. I've always been holding kids up and making sure they don't drown, like, oh no, don't jump in, right, ready, and go. Or like, mummy look at me, watch me jump, shh, all over your face. I haven't swam, I haven't done that. And it was an incredible feeling. It really, really was. And now I'm doing that more regularly. So I went this morning, and I'm getting up at 6 o'clock, which might sound insane, but I'm trying to make the routine for myself, because I've noticed with all the kids' clubs in the evenings, which I'm sure if you've got children of school age, you'll know exactly what I mean, but we have clubs on a Monday, we have swimming on Tuesday, we have clubs on a Wednesday, we have clubs on a Thursday, we have clubs on a Friday, we have clubs every day now. So there's clubs every day of the week, and that's amazing. And my children's like growth and ability and their passion always come first. But I wasn't able to fit myself in very well, and it was a struggle. I was getting tired by that point. I didn't want to go in the middle of the day because I've got work to do, I've got other things and other responsibilities to take care of, and like going and getting all sweaty and then having to re-shower and re-get ready again. It was just a complete, not a waste of my time, but it wasn't the best use of. So now I'm going first thing in the morning. So I either go swimming or I go to the gym. I've got a membership. It's just a local one. It's not anything fancy or anything like that. It's just at a leisure centre, but it does the job, and I'm feeling so much better already. Just the way I feel on the way to the leisure centre in the car is quite frankly hellish, but the way I feel on the way back, I'm like this. Driving, if I had shades, they'd be down. And I just feel really good, and I feel really like empowered and healthy and awake, and it's so good. So I've really been enjoying that, and that is something that is making a really decent improvement to my health. And I'm really conscious of how long I've been talking. Fuck me, it's 45 minutes, probably should stop. But yeah, I just really wanted to do an update. It's been a long time. I've taken a break. I'll be brutally honest with you. Things are not what it used to be on here, I feel. Not just YouTube, but online. Like, there's so much stuff these days that you have to do. So it used to be that I would make videos on YouTube and I would post photos on Instagram, but then stories happened. So you would do stories and talk on there, but then sometimes you wouldn't do a story because you were going to film instead for YouTube and you don't want to repeat it, but then you kind of have to do both. And when it's your job, you've got to do both, because otherwise you're not going to do well at your job. And then Reels have happened and TikTok has happened. And it's just, you know, some people just select one and that's what they do. But I feel like I'm struggling with doing that. I'm raising 3 children and I don't have like any help. I don't have anyone like doing my comments for me, and I don't have anyone like editing for me. And so I'm really active over on Instagram, especially because I feel like I know my community better on here, whereas sometimes YouTube doesn't always make me feel good, and I struggle. I don't know what people want to see half the time, and sometimes like showing you what I bought from Tesco every week, I just feel like, I don't know, sometimes I just feel silly, like bought another Warburton's toasty, and yeah, it can just be a bit heavier on here. And yeah, so obviously I've been sat on loads of videos. I've got videos on my computer that I've just not posted, and maybe I won't ever post, I don't know. I make them, I just don't seem to have the balls to post them. So I do need to get better at that and understand that. And it's not that I've just disappeared, it's just that I've like moved focus a lot at the moment onto Instagram. But yeah, I am so sorry this video is so long. I hope you enjoy watching it anyway. And yeah, I'll hopefully see you all very, very soon. So take care of yourselves. Yeah.